Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fly Me to the Philippines. This is Chrissy, and today I'm going to tell you another secret. Most Western men, especially men who have lived a full life, they say they want peace for Christmas. They tell the world they want simple. They tell their friends they're done with the drama. They tell their kids, don't worry about me, I'm fine with a pair of socks. But I'm gonna tell you, that's not what they're thinking about. At late night, when the house is quiet and the phone is the only thing glowing in the room, they tell themselves they don't need much anymore, that the part of their life is over. But what they really want is something they're almost afraid to admit, because society tells them they're too old to ask for it. And tonight, since it's just you and me, I'm going to say it for them. Some of this will surprise you. Some of this might make you blush a little. And one thing I'm going to say later in this video is the reason so many men end up in the Philippines. And they don't just visit, they never go back. If you're watching this around Christmas, you might be telling yourself, this year is fine. You've got food in the fridge. You've got a roof over your head. You have survived worse than a lonely Tuesday night. But Christmas has a way of turning the volume up, doesn't it? It turns the volume up on the quiet, on the memories of how full the house used to be, on the empty side of the bed that stays perfectly made for weeks at a time. And it forces you to ask the question you don't say out loud anymore. What happened to me? You used to be the captain, the provider, the man everyone looked at. And now, you feel like a ghost in your own city. Here is the thing most people don't understand about Western men, especially men over 55. You don't want more stuff. You don't want a new tie. You want different. And tonight, I'm going to tell you what different actually feels like. Not the polite version you say at dinner parties. It is the real version, including the part no one ever dares to ask a woman like me. I hear this all the time in our consultations. Men will tell me, Chrissy, I just want peace. I just want a quiet life. And I always smile when they say that, because peace isn't what they mean. What they mean is, I don't want to fight for affection anymore. I don't want to be punished for being calm. I don't want to feel invisible in my own home. Peace isn't just silence, gentlemen. A graveyard is peaceful. You don't want a graveyard. Peace is being wanted without being tested. And that's the first thing Western men really want for Christmas, even if they don't realize it yet. They want to feel desired, chosen, welcomed, not because of the paycheck they bring home, not because of the guilt, not because it's the holidays and we have to, but because a woman wants to be close to them, because she gravitates toward your energy. And yes, that includes physically, but not in the way people assume. It's not just about the act, it's about the spark that starts it. Here is something men rarely say out loud because they're afraid of sounding creepy or desperate. You don't miss sex the way you did when you were 25. Back then, it was a biological urgency. But now, you miss being wanted before the sex happens. You miss the look from across the room, the touch that lingers on your arms just a second longer than it needs to. The feeling that someone is genuinely happy and excited even, that you walked through the door. You miss a woman who leans in, not one who pulls away when you reach out. And that's why Christmas hits so hard in the West, because desires feels more honest when everything else slows down. When the emails stop, when the work stops, you are left with just you. And you realize you still have fire in you. Why does everyone treat you like you're burned out? It's not gone. The fire is not gone. But it doesn't live where you were told to look. It doesn't live in a culture that tells you your best days are behind you. Later in this video, I'm going to explain why so many men feel desired again for the first time in decades the moment they land in Manila, and why it actually scares them at first. It's a specific psychological reaction called the re-entry shock, and you need to be ready for it. There's another thing Western men really want for Christmas, and this one is almost never talked about because men are taught to be tough. They want affection without negotiation. In the West, affection often feels transactional. If you do the dishes, maybe I'll hold your hand. If you buy the right gift, maybe I'll smile. Here, men want touch that is just natural. A hand on the arm while you're driving. A head on the shoulder while watching a movie. A woman who doesn't flinch when you get close, but melts into you. This is what we call skin hunger or touch starvation. Did you know that men over 60 in the West suffer from this more than any other demographic? It spikes your cortisol. It hurts your heart, literally. You crave touch that says, I see you and I'm comfortable with you. You don't have to perform for me. This is why men soften so quickly in the Philippines. It's not magic. It's not manipulation. It's permission. Permission to be human and a man again. In a few minutes, I'm going to tell you about the moment most Western men realize they've been starving and why it usually happens somewhere very unexpected like a grocery store or a coffee shop. If we're being totally honest, what many men really want for Christmas is not a new watch or a golf club. It's a moment. Imagine this. It's Christmas morning, but there is no stress, no rushing to in-laws you don't like. Just a slow morning, coffee on the balcony, the air is warm, tropical warm, and there's a woman moving comfortably in the same space. No pressure, no judgment, no scoreboard of past mistakes. Just presence. And yes, sometimes that presence turns into something warmer, something playful. But what matters most is how it starts. Not rushed, not demanded, chosen. This is why so many men tell me, Chrissy, I didn't know it could feel like this again. I thought this part of my life was over. Later, I'm going to explain why this feeling isn't about age and why younger women here don't experience the age gap the same way women do in the West. It comes down to a cultural concept called malasakit. Here is the sad part. Many of you watching this, you feel ashamed for wanting this. You've been told you're asking for too much. That wanting affection is needy. That wanting a younger, vibrant partner is selfish. That you should just be happy being grandpa and sitting in a corner. So you shrink. You shrink your needs. You say, I'm fine. You say, I don't need much. But Christmas has a way of undoing the lie. Because deep down, you have not accepted it. You've just gone quiet. As we proceed in this video, I'm going to tell you why so many men finally stop settling and what usually pushes them to make the decision. Sometimes it's not a midlife crisis, it's a midlife correction. Let me tell you something from my side, from the perspective of a Filipino woman. Women like me notice men who are calm, present, and emotionally steady. We don't want the frantic energy of a 25-year-old boy who is trying to prove he's a man. We notice the man who listens, who doesn't rush, who doesn't need to win every conversation. And yes, there is something very attractive about a man who has lived and come out kind. That's not something you lose with age. That's something you earn. Your gray hair? Don't worry about that. To us, that's not a sign of decline. It's a sign of stability. So in the next part of this video, I'm going to take you deeper. I'm going to tell you why Western men crave emotional safety more than excitement. The one thing that makes men feel young again without pretending. and the biggest mistake men make when they finally feel desired again. But before we go, if you're feeling that pull, if you know you need to make a change but you don't know how to start, you need a guide. Rob and I wrote a book, Fly Me to the Philippines, for exactly this moment and been #1 bestseller on Amazon for 9 months because it tells the truth. But if you want more than a book, if you want a big brother and a little sister to walk you through this and to check your retirement planning, your visa, and yes, your girlfriend, check the links below for our consultation and investigation services. Don't navigate this jungle alone. Now, let's talk about why Christmas in the Philippines feels different and why some men never want to spend it anywhere else again. Alright, if the first topic felt a little too close to home, that's because it was meant to. If you're still watching, it tells me something. You're not watching this for entertainment. You're watching because you recognize yourself. You recognize the hunger. So now, let's feed it. Let's talk about what happens when you get on that plane. When Western men say they want peace, what they're really saying is, I don't want to be punished for being who I am. They don't want to argue just to be heard. They don't want affection used as leverage or a bargaining chip. They don't want love that feels like constant negotiation. They want a relationship where silence isn't dangerous. You know what I mean, right? That silence in the car where you're wondering, what did I do wrong now? That is stress. That creates cortisol. Here, peace is emotional safety, and emotional safety is incredibly attractive to a man who's lived long enough to know what chaos costs. In the Philippines, we value smooth interpersonal relationships. We value harmony, so when you come home, you aren't walking into a battlefield. There's something I see in Western men that rarely gets talked about. They're tired, not the kind of I need a nap tired. It's soul tired. Tired like they've been carrying the weight of the world for 40 years. Careers, mortgages, divorces, alimony, children who grew up and moved on. Families that take from you but don't ask, how are you doing, Dad? And somewhere along the line, no one asks, who's taking care of you? So men stop asking too. They learn to need less, expect less, want less, until Christmas arrives and suddenly the quiet feels louder than usual. That's not weakness, guys. That's honesty finally getting room to breathe. And here in the Philippines, we are experts at taking care of people. It is our love language. Here's something most people get wrong about older men dating. Men over 55 don't want desire the way they did at 25. They don't want to chase. They don't want to play hard to get. They don't want to feel like they're auditioning for affection. They want desire that feels earned by who they are, not by how hard they perform. That's why flirtation feels different here. It's slower, it's deeper, it's in the eyes. A look matters more than a body. A tone of voice matters more than the words. And when a woman responds to your energy, not your wallet, but your energy, it feels intoxicating. It releases the dopamine hit, not because it's new, but because it's been missing for so long. This is where the Philippines enters the story. You need to understand 2 words if you want to survive here. First is lambing, and there is no English word for it. It is sweetness, tenderness. It's when a woman wipes the sweat off your forehead, when she serves your plate first, when she clings to your arm like she's afraid you'll float away. For a man who is touch-starved, lambing is like water in the desert. It makes you feel like a king, like the head of a household again. But there is a flip side. The tampo. Tampo is when she goes quiet. She withdraws affection. She won't look at you. And you panic. You think, is it over? But no, She wants you to lambing her back. She wants you to use the lambing on her. It's a dance, and unlike the arguments back in the West, this dance usually ends with you laughing and kissing. This is not about desperation, it's about resonance. It's about finding a culture that matches your need for connection. There is a specific moment many men describe to me. It's not dramatic, it's quiet. It might be a woman waiting for them at the airport arrivals, jumping up and down. A soft touch on the back of the neck while you're reading. A smile that doesn't disappear when the conversation slows down. And suddenly they think, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like. Not pressure, not obligation, just comfort with attraction underneath it. And this time I'm going to talk about why this moment changes men and why some of them panic when it happens, why they self-sabotage because they don't believe they deserve it. But let's pause the romance for a second, because you can't enjoy the lambing if you're stressed more about money. Part of this Christmas wish is financial relief. Back home, your social security check or your pension barely covers the heating bill. You are surviving, not living. Here, that same retirement income makes you upper class. You can afford international health insurance, which is crucial, by the way. You can afford to live in a condo with a pool. You can afford to take her out to nice dinners without checking your bank account. When you lower your cost of living, you lower your stress. And when your stress goes down, your libido goes up. Your happiness goes up. Your health span increases. This is not just about finding a girlfriend. It's about strategic retirement planning. It's about asset protection. It's about making your money work for you so you can focus on the woman sitting across from you. Here's the warning part, and please listen to me closely. When men finally feel desired again, when they feel that lambing, they rush, they overgive, they start buying houses, they start paying for the whole family's tuition. They overinvest emotionally and financially because they think, I can't lose this. Desire thrives in safety, not urgency. If you lead with your wallet, you will attract women who love your wallet. If you lead with your character, you will attract women who love you. This is why I created my open source social media investigation service. Before you fall in love with a profile picture, before you send a Christmas gift via Western Union, let me check her, let me see if she's really single, let me see if she's real. It's the best thing that you would ever spend. It's insurance for your heart. Let me say this clearly. Women like me are not looking for perfection, and we are not looking for a sugar daddy. The good ones aren't anyway. We're looking for emotional steadiness, a man who doesn't get defensive, doesn't need to control everything, doesn't confuse kindness with weakness. There is something very attractive about a man who is comfortable with silence, comfortable with closeness, comfortable letting things unfold. That kind of confidence is rare. And yes, it creates chemistry. Christmas magnifies everything. Loneliness feels lonelier. Connection feels warmer. Touch feels more meaningful. That's why so many men remember one specific Christmas, the one where something shifted, where they realized, I don't want to go back to how it was. I don't want another winter alone. And that realization doesn't fade when the decorations come down. It stays. Alright, so this time I'm going to tell you what Western men really want long-term beyond the honeymoon phase. Why the right relationship feels calm, not dramatic. How men can keep attraction alive without chasing it. And why choosing differently doesn't mean starting over. It means coming home. And at the very end, I'm going to say something very honest. about why some men find love later in life, and why it looks nothing like they imagined. If you have stayed with me this far, you already know this isn't really about Christmas. Christmas just gives us permission to talk about what matters. So now, I want to talk about what Western men really want long term. Not the fantasy, not the escape, the thing that actually lasts when the holiday lights are put away. Desire gets attention. It's the spark, but it's not what men over 55 are really searching for. What they want is something quieter. They want relief, relief from tension, relief from being misunderstood, relief from feeling like they have to explain themselves all the time. They want to come home to someone who doesn't argue with their nature, someone who accepts their pace, their calm, their way of loving. That's not boring. That's rare. And once a man experiences it, he doesn't forget how it feels. Here is the secret most men never hear. Attraction doesn't stay alive because you chase it. It stays alive because you trust it. You let the relationship unfold. You don't try to lock it down emotionally out of fear. You stay present, but not anxious. Strong, but not controlling. Interested, but not afraid. That balance, it's incredibly attractive to Filipinas. We love a man who is secure in his own skin. I want to be very clear here. Women like me are not choosing men because they're older. We're choosing men because they're settled, not stuck. A man who knows who he is, who doesn't compete with the world anymore, who has room in his life and in his heart. That kind of man doesn't rush love. He allows it, and that makes him irresistible. Just always keep in mind that love is great, but logistics are real. If you want this life, this peaceful, desired, dignified life, you need to engineer it. You need to re-engineer your finances. You need to structure your pension. Don't let the dream fail because you didn't do the math. So many men tell me, Chrissy, I don't want to go back. They're not talking about geography. They're talking about how they felt before. Unseen, unwanted, emotionally alone. Christmas becomes the moment they finally admit, I want more than survival. And wanting more doesn't make you selfish. It makes you honest. Let me say this gently. This kind of relationship is not automatic. You don't just land at Naya Airport and get handled a soulmate. It requires patience, emotional discipline, boundaries, and a willingness to learn, not dominate. The men who succeed are not the loudest. They're the most consistent. They listen more than they speak. They observe before they act. They don't confuse attraction with ownership. The men who thrive here don't try to relive their youth. They bring their maturity. They don't ask women to fill emotional holes. They offer partnership. They don't demand loyalty. They inspire it. And the men who struggle? They rush. They over-control. They confuse generosity with leverage. They think buying a phone equals buying a heart. That never ends well. If you're watching this and something inside you feels calm, not excited, not frantic, that's important. That's recognition. You're not late, you're not broken, and you're not asking for too much. You're just ready for something that actually fits. Rob and I talk to men every week who are right at this moment. They're not looking for fantasy, they're looking for clarity. If that's you, there's no pressure, no rush, just a conversation. Sometimes clarity is the best Christmas gift you can give yourself. So what do Western men really want for Christmas? They want to be wanted without performing, to be touched without tension, to be respected without competition, to be loved without chaos. And when they find it, they don't feel younger. They feel whole. If this video spoke to you and you're serious about choosing differently, you have 3 options. Number 1, the book Fly Me to the Philippines. It's the manual. It's the start. Number 2, the investigation. Do not let his camera ruin this dream, and let me vet her. Number 3, the Big Brother program. Let Rob and I guide you for 3 to 6 months. We will be your family on the ground. The links are below. Take your time, but don't ignore the feeling that brought you here, because the men who find this kind of life doesn't stumble into it. They choose it. And if you're ready to pull that trigger, always remember, fly smart, fly with confidence, only here from Fly Me to the Philippines. Stop right there. Do not skip this video. I know what you're looking for. I see you swiping on your phone late at night, and I see you looking at flights to Manila or Cebu. You're looking for a change and you're looking for love. But if you get on that plane without this, you will not find love, darling. You will find a nightmare.